Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Hey, Summit host, Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software, and I am so excited about today's episode on the Virtual Summit podcast. We've got an amazing guest joining us today. We got Shanda Sumpter here from Hardcore Business, who's going to be talking to us about some amazing information on summits. Now, Shanda's done a lot of things in business in general. She went from $50,000 to 6 figures to 7 figures to 8-figure company, 8-figure a year company, all off the foundations of virtual summits. And she's moved even further than that. She's now helped hundreds, if not thousands, of other entrepreneurs do very similar things. So we're going to get a lot of great information here from Shanda. But before we jump into that, Shanda, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's going to be an amazing episode. And I just want to say thanks for being here with us.
I'm super stoked to be here with you.
It's going to be awesome. Now, Summit hosts, you listening out there, we're going to be talking about some specific areas on one, summit topics, why it's important, but also how to monetize not just the summit, but post-summit. Now, before we actually get into that information, Shanda, I'd love for you to just tell the audience a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I will bring you into a moment that I think that a lot of people can relate to. Is there was a moment I was sitting on my floor in Las Vegas and I was so broke it hurt. If anybody can relate to that, I was so broke it hurt. I had a bedroom that I got from that I got from Walmart on the floor in my room, and no box spring, just the mattress. I had a TV in my living room with a box, like sitting on a box with towels over it to make it look kind of pretty. And I had $500 in an envelope that I hid in my closet because God forbid somebody would have found that $500 because it was like only $500 to my name. And I remember sitting on the ground and I had I could still feel it. Like, it's like, I was so broke it hurt, but I also wasn't allowed to work in America. I'm Canadian. And I moved to America to go to school and with a dream in my heart to eventually live in California, which I finally made it. But like on my journey to get here, I landed in Vegas. I went to UNLV. And I remember thinking like I think it was actually the moment that I got that it's a privilege to work. You know what I mean? Like, it's an actual privilege to work. Like, even today, like I sit there and I talk to our team today and it's like, where's the next level of hunger? Where's that? You know, it's like formulas all day long are great, but at the end of the day, I think people underestimate just the hunger that really causes the success in your life. So I had an epiphany where I realized that if I could work, I would never, ever, ever neglect or complain about the fact of any sort of good work ethic. And that if I could work, I would literally create the life that I always dreamed of for myself, for other people. I would show, it was like a declaration that I had to God that day. And sure enough, I'm leaving some of the story out because I don't want to take up this whole podcast on it, but it's like, my dad's American, so I did get a passport, and I will never forget when the mailman showed up to my door. I hugged him because he had my passport in hand. It was like my freedom. But along the way, I mean, I worked in taco restaurants for $40 a day, went to school. I think God was training my hustle up. You know what I mean? Like, and once I learned that work ethic and really got that I mattered, then I started to get into what we're going to talk about today, really transforming the world.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Yeah, and you've done just that, not just for yourself, which is so powerful. You've taken what you've done and now you're giving it back to so many others. And I've been able to see and hear some of the stories of the people you've helped. And so I'm really looking forward to jumping into this, because you, out of all the episodes, out of all the interviews I've done, I think you've probably impacted or built more successful summit hosts and even businesses out of anybody I've interviewed yet. So this is going to be great. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
So let's transition into that. Maybe give us a quick overview of your business, hardcore business, and then also the focus Summits plays in that process.
Yeah, so I don't consider myself an internet marketer. We use the internet to market, and therefore that's when I found Summits. So nobody's ever taught me a summit. I actually reverse engineered this back in my real estate days. I had investors in the UK and in Hong Kong mail their email lists, and they'd mail the deal to their email list. And then what would happen is people would click an application to come back and talk to me. And I remember one night waking up and I had 200 applications overnight, that people that just wanted to buy homes in America from the UK, people I'd never met before in my life. And so when I segued out of real estate and started hardcore business, the first year I made $2,000 profit in a whole year. So just a blessing that I'm even here in the first place, because I had every reason to quit. I had every reason to quit. But what I realized is that I didn't control my traffic. And when I thought about why was I successful in real estate, it's because these people who had very connected relationships with the people in their email list, they were their investor base. When they're influencing their investor base around a very specific topic, a very specific methodology around investing in real estate, as long as I provided the property to match what they were influencing, we had a home run. And so when I got into the coaching industry, I didn't even know this was an industry, and so I made the mistake of not hiring a coach my first year, and I thought that I could do it. And it was actually not even on my radar to hire a coach. And I realized I didn't control my traffic. So I thought, well, what if I got a bunch of people together and everybody, I interviewed a bunch of people, and everybody maybe offered a product either for sale or for free. And just together I started collaborating. Being a woman, that's very female of me, like collaboration. And I didn't want to do it alone. I just didn't want to be in isolation anymore. And so I thought of the summit. I didn't even know it was a summit. And I was like, I'm going to go do this. And I remember being so scared. I'd call people, I'd email them, what we now call a generator email. And I'd email them a generator email, and then they'd come back, and I fine-tuned that process. And they would come back and they would say that they would want to get on the phone with me and talk about, these are like super powerful people, to talk to me about being on my online show. And I remember talking to someone that was like a rock star, and I was like a nobody in this industry. And all I did, this is kind of a hackable moment for people. One of the benefits of doing a summit is that you get credibility. But one of the disadvantages is that you don't have it. A lot of times you don't have it, especially if you're doing it the first time. So even though I had credibility in real estate, I didn't have it in the coaching industry. And I was super insecure. And so I reached out, I remember the first person getting on the phone, I'd read her book. I was super starstruck. And she was asking me qualifying questions, like, what's your website? I don't have a website. Nowadays, you don't need a website, but then you still needed a website. And how many people were on my list, which was none, you know what I mean? And I was sitting there going, this sucks. And so what I did was, and this is something that we actually put in our phone script now when we qualify people to come be on our summits, is I banked on where have you been successful in the past? So I said, I built a huge division in real estate, and I was successful there. So I know I'm going to be successful here. How hard can it be? And that was my mentality. But I said that with every ounce of my grit, because I was sweating bullets. Thank God it wasn't video, because I was scared that they wouldn't say yes. But for a mom or a husband, if you do marriage well, there's the same comment saying, I built a successful marriage. I can build an online show, or I could build a summit. I raised kids that became national, best-selling authors. And you just grab onto anything successful that you were ever successful at, and you put that into your phone script to qualify people. But anyway, so I just started a summit, and then I found out from Jennifer McLean in Laguna Beach that it was actually a thing. I've never stopped since.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I love that hackable moment right there, leveraging other success that you've had. I think that's so important. I mean, same with me. When I ran my first summit, I had no authority, no influence, and actually I had a hard time getting guests on my first summit. That's where I came up with the 1-day summit. So it's the same situation. I really love this. Now, is the virtual summit for our summit hosts listening, is that something you recommend to all your clients? And if so, why?
So not only do I recommend it to all of our clients, our base level program, we teach it in 90 days. So we can do an online show in 2.5 weeks inside of our company. But we've gotten really good at it. And we have team members who can do it in 2.5 weeks. So anybody can learn it. But yeah, I recommend, people are so hot on podcasts now, which is awesome. They're super beneficial. But the thing is that we don't capture any of your information at this point. And so, yes, we can have downloadables. We can have all of that type of stuff. But what I love about the summit is it's kind of like a podcast that you could now call a master class. I call mine research project. So here's another hackable moment. I wanted to find my husband. And I was, I wasn't any closer to finding my husband. My biological clock was ticking. I was meeting all the wrong men. And so I took my summit and I did the Love Trap Live. How successful women, I should have said entrepreneurial women because I end up getting corporate. And so you just learn these things, right? But I put how successful women struggle to find Mr. Right. Right. And so you can see now why I got corporate and entrepreneur. I should have said how successful entrepreneurial women struggle to find Mr. Right while making a difference in the world. I should have done something like that. And so, but anyway, so I did a research project where I interviewed all of these people in an industry that nobody knew me. So I already had a successful company and business at this point, but I went into the love industry and I interviewed all these people who've written books around like dating, meeting your husband, all that type of stuff. And I basically let these people coach me live. And my opt-in page was like, I'm struggling with this. I have a successful business, but like all the men that I meet are either they love my ambition and then they don't. And then like, I feel like they're intimidated by me. And so if you have any story like this and you really want to find your husband, go ahead and put your name and your email, hit get access. I'll send you an email on the other side and you can watch these high-powered coaches coach me and hopefully I find my husband. So what was crazy is that like all of these coaches were like, no, you are dating down. Guys are not intimidated by you. Like they ripped me apart. And so it made good TV. It made good TV. But I really believe that summit was not only a game changer and a give to the world, but it also changed my life because I got out and I started dating. I met my husband. We now have built this beautiful house on the ocean. We've got a beautiful son. We're trying for the next baby, and now we work together inside the company. And so it's like all of that may not have happened. Like I might have still been too busy to make time for meeting my husband if I wouldn't have done it. So like you can create, your online show can be a research project. It could be a masterclass. It could be just a regular summit, a resource. There's just so many ways. Some of my clients that are artists do like retreats, like they do virtual retreats, and because their world doesn't like do summits, you know what I mean? They do solstice retreats. They do all of these cool things. So my point is that, not only do I encourage people to do it, we actually like are completely sold on it. Like, one thing to go spend $100,000 or 50 or 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000 on Facebook traffic that nobody knows you. And it's another to do an online show that now you become an instant, authority in that list and you can actually really influence, So I actually think it's dangerous not to do them, to be really honest.
Yeah. And so I agree with you on this. And I love how a part of your program, which we'll get into a little bit more of the monetary side of this, a little bit later, but I love how that you've built this not only for you, but you've made it a mandatory component essentially of your program. So you've got students, you've got clients and students that are constantly going through this program. They're going through your summit coaching process. Kind of like going a little bit deeper into this, what are some common mistakes some of your clients do when they're putting on a summit?
So not creating a list minimum. So you gotta qualify people. And so a common mistake is depending on whatever size of subscriber base you want to get and your level of leadership to be able to hold the line, you got to have a list minimum. So if you have me on your show and you're like, okay, we have a list minimum of 100,000 people, which is big. Like we tell our clients to start at 5,000, right? It's like, and then, so say you let me on and then you let somebody on that doesn't have a list just because you want to make sure your summit's full. That's just out of integrity. And I know that people don't think of it like that, but it is, because you have to think about how many summits I've done at this point and how much money I've even spent on ad traffic and then warming people up. There's a lot of countless hours and time. And last time I checked, most people are overwhelmed in the world. So have a heart and make sure that when you do a summit, you actually hold the line and realize, let's not add to the overwhelm in anybody's life because you don't have a good list build. And then the people who actually qualified did the work and mailed, and you weren't able to provide, the volume that you could have provided if you would have held the line. So that's a big one, which comes down to leadership. Second one is under communicating. So I don't know about you, but I don't ever mean to forget about someone. I don't ever mean to not return an email, but things get missed. And, especially if you don't have a relationship with someone, if you don't have a mission that you're so inspired about that every time you talk about it, everybody lights up around you, then don't ever think that your experts are going to be lit up after they get off the phone with you. You know what I mean? Just because they agreed to do it, if you're literally take that in, if I had a mission that everywhere I went, I have friends like this, they walk into a room and they talk about what they're doing. You just want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, you're human trafficking for little kids and you're getting them off the street, or orphans, and it's when you talk to them, you're like, I'm getting involved in that. I'm not going to miss that email. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to find a way to go help. Most of us are not putting online shows out like that. It's sad, but most of us just haven't found that piece that pull us to that level. You know what I mean? To the level where you'd be willing to share the stage with people because it's about the mission, not about your ego. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, now just calling a spade, you have a summit that they can contribute to, but they are busy with their own movements. They are busy with their own to-do lists. And so under communicating with them coming up to the show is a big breakdown. And so this is probably common sense for people, but I would say a month out from your show, 2 weeks out from your show, but it's not a fault. Nobody likes to be followed up with. Do not put, I'm following up with you in the subject line. It's so what if you messaged all your experts and you said something like, what's important to you this year? Or my company would like to get behind yours. And you actually said something instead of the follow-up email, I just want to remind you that the mail dates are this time and all that, you actually had an email that went with the intention of, hey, Mark, I know that we're coming up on the online show, but it dawned on me that I don't actually know what's really important to you this year. What's the number one thing that you're working on this year that means a lot to you? Because I would like to see if there's any way I can help. And then in the PS, I would put, and PS, just a reminder that the promotional period is between this date and this date this month. Let me know if you have any questions. Or I might say, when you respond to this email, can you let me know what date you're going to mail so I can update my media calendar? You get what I'm saying? So it's like a PS, which is the most read thing in any email anyway, but don't make the bulk of the email be about them. And here's what I can say. I've actually never met somebody yet that I don't know a book, a podcast, a person, or I personally can mail for them or something. There's just always a way that we can help each other. I don't believe that God's put any of us in each other's space because we're useless to the other individual. And I also believe that your experts are not just on your online show to push your movement forward. There is a reciprocal, give there. And I'm telling you, like right now I'm reading David Goggins' new book, Can't Hurt Me. And I have now pushed it through my entire community, like literally today. And now it's gone through our company today. You know what I mean? And there's a reason for that. It's because when something's great, you want to pay it forward and give it to people. That book is changing my life right now. So do you not think that you could provide an element of change for somebody else? Like, yes, you can. So lead with that, and then you're going to find communication is a lot easier versus a traditional follow-up.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your Virtual Summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
Oh, I really love this. I mean, this aspect right there. I know I always try and think of a way to connect with the speaker. And a lot of times I'm thinking subject line, but I'm still, even a mistake I'm making with this from this information, I've still got a majority of the email reminding them about the information. But I love this because you're right. It's that rule of reciprocity as well. And it's going to open them up more to you because they know you care. I love this. I think this is something I'm going to.
How much better do you feel about somebody when they actually say like, hey, what's important to you? I'd like to get behind you some way.
And then especially if you follow up with it somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you do, you know what I mean? It's like, that's two deep levels of bonding right there. They're mailing for you.
Yeah. And that's also that strategic partnership that moves forward too. It's not, past the summit. Now you actually have a relationship, which is even more powerful than just the summit too. So
way more powerful.
Well, let's go into even a little bit deeper here. Actually, you have me thinking, what are some, like one of the most common kind of not complaints, but maybe challenges that I hear summit hosts talk about is actually getting the speakers to engage, to email. So what are, you've given us one or two kind of a higher level. What are some other tactics that you do to make sure that the speakers are actually promoting?
So that's probably one of the biggest. It's just that communication and leading with generosity versus leading with a follow-up. But I will also tell you that, like, we teach our clients that every time they have a speaker say yes, that they want to be on there, that immediately when you're done, all the communication and everything's a check, and right before you get off the phone with them, you really should ask them for a referral. And I don't package it in a referral. It's all about positioning. I let them know. I say, so like, Mark, I'm so excited to interview you on Friday. Hey, just before we get off the phone, just real quick, who else do you know, or who do you know would be a really good fit to be on this online show that you would like to be like shoulder to shoulder with on this show? They got a good following, they're solid individual, and they would provide really great content. Who would that be? And I leave it there. I don't ask them, do you? I don't ask them, can you think of anyone? I literally position it just like that. So even if somebody just took this podcast and even just transcribed it and took that little piece will make you millions of dollars. And it will impact, like your impact will massively grow because you're making millions of dollars, and it has everything to do with the fact of asking for that referral. So you can build an entire show in 2.5 weeks by doing that. You could literally find 3 people and the rest of them are all referred in. Now, notice I didn't ask on that ask to like send an email or whatever. So first I lead them in, who do you know? And I qualify, they have a good following, good content, they're a solid person, someone that you would want to be in front of their audience, you'd want to like stand shoulder to shoulder with on this show. They're going to now answer that person. It's going to be 1 to 3 people they're going to say. At that point, then you ask for either a text message or an email intro. Now, they've already got a relationship with that person. So now you have authority. And honestly, like when people do that to me, when it's someone that I care about, someone that I know that like, JJ Virgin sends me a message, oh, you got to talk to this person or whatever. It's like, I got to talk to him because first of all, I would not do that. If my friend thought that we should talk, then I should be on their show. I'm going to do it. Even just out of courtesy, I'm going to get on the phone with that person and listen to them. chances are my heart is going to lean to do it unless I absolutely can't. And even if I absolutely can't, here's what I got to tell you guys. You got that far onto the phone call and a referral, get flexible. They don't have to mail right on the date. They can mail halfway in between. Don't worry about their audience not getting all of the recordings or all of the show. You can send an email out if you really want at the very end with all of the recordings and give them a week to watch it if you wanted. Who cares? It's not about that, right? It's about just get flexible and go all the way to the close.
You're constantly bringing up more ideas for me over here. I'm loving this. So with that, sticking just a little bit longer on the speaker aspect, because it's got me thinking, one, do you make it mandatory? Is it required for the speakers to promote on the summit? And if so you didn't bring it up necessarily the first time, how do you get that across with still being, without, I know a lot of summit hosts feel a little bit, dirty or slime or whatever about, or even just subconscious by making them do it. So what are some of the strategies you guys use?
Well, so we only do that confirmation on the phone. So we find out first, we don't go into the mission of the summit at first. So let's take the Love Trap Live, right? So I sent out a generator email, got them on the phone. When I got them on the phone, this is the part that you're talking about. This is where I qualified their list size, all of that. So when I start that conversation, it's like, hey, Mark, hey, Shanda. All right, Shanda, jump into it. Tell me what's going on. I don't really jump into it. I would say something like, well, so Mark, I identified you as somebody who could speak really powerfully about this topic. And here's what I'm doing. I'm doing a research project where powerful women like me, I have been searching for my husband for a long time, and I keep finding that men, I just can't find Mr. Right, and I'm struggling. And I know that there's other women out there who are struggling with this. And so I want to go out and have people like you open up and coach me, live on the air, and give you exposure, but also make a difference in the world for powerful women who are struggling to find Mr. Right. And so before we get into the details of it, I just want to know, and I throw the ball back to them. I just want to know, do you feel like you have value to add to this conversation or wisdom? Well, now they take over the conversation, and I sit back and I just let them go. And I'm usually sitting on the edge of my seat because I'm doing a topic that I love, and I want to jump in there so badly. And oh my God, I know, I want to do that, but I don't, because what they're actually doing is enrolling themselves. And so I sit back and I let them, talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And when they're done, they will throw the ball back to me. You know what I mean? So they'll be like, they'll be done. They just stop talking, and it's and that's what I think. And then at that point, I'm like, well, it's clear to me that this is a great fit. So I would like to formally invite you to be an expert or to be highlighted on this show. And here's some of the details. And they're like, great, sounds great. And then as I start going through the details, it's not until the very end that I qualify their list size, but I do bring up the promotion right away. And the way that I position that is that this is a collaborative project. So this would be a great place if you're insecure, that you could drop in a credibility piece. So this is a collaborative project. Much like when I was in real estate, I was super successful in real estate. I know that I'm going to be super successful here. I am doing this show around this topic. So it's no different than if someone was doing a documentary. God, these people pop out these documentaries all day long, and everybody jumps on and pays to be on them. You know what I mean? And so it's all about your positioning and about choosing a topic that that really fires you up, that you care enough about, that you forget that it's that you're gaining from it. You know what I mean? It's more about the movement than the game. And when that happens, you fixate your attention on that. So now I become a summit host, which is it's a collaborative project. I was super successful in real estate. And so I know we're going to be super successful in this. And I'd like to formally invite you to do this, but here's the parameters to do it. So first and foremost, we pre-record I do all mine pre-recorded. We pre-record all of our interviews through Zoom. And we do them on Fridays. So what Friday does this Friday or this Friday work? So I'm looking to create small closes along the way. And, neither Friday works. Okay, so what about the following Friday? Yeah, that works. I could do 2:00. Great. we're slated in now for 2:00. My assistant will send you a speaker's agreement with the details that I'm going to finish covering. But at that time, I'll see you on Zoom at that time. In addition, all of the experts, because it's collaborative, all the experts are mailing their databases. Well, you know what, Shanda, we don't mail our database, or we don't send solo emails. Unfortunately, that just won't work for this project. Everybody has got to mail to be on this project. So is there another way that we can work this out? You know what I'm saying? So I do what men do really well when they chase women, is I don't hear that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, of course you don't mail. You don't know me. You know what I mean? Like, so let's talk through it. You know what I mean? Because you're going to want to be on this show, you know? So you just talk through it. And and my experience is, I mean, I teach, this year alone, we will have taught 1,000 people how to do online shows, the way that we do them. And with that being said, like, they get through it. These are like, I have everything from hedge fund managers to like teachers to, you know, the stay-at-home mom that's never owned a business in her entire life, being able to get through it. So you just have to learn how to get through it. You just walk through it.
I was just calculating that out. That's around, if everybody that did it hit around 5,000 leads, that's over 50 million leads generated. That's
crazy.
Impressive. I love this. So I did a couple just takeaways here for everybody.
Yeah, now you're like jogging my mind to want to jump into that one.
because Shanda's dropping amazing things, and I want to make sure you're picking up on them, because there's so many gems here that she's just shared. So one, super important, if you can hop on a call with the speaker. I mean, most summit hosts that I know are primarily communicating through email. So go above and beyond, step outside of the box, use that phone call, you start that relationship right away. Two, let the speaker kind of self-enroll themselves. Also, it's probably a great way of seeing what they're interested in, what they're passionate about, pulling that out. And then additionally, I heard you mention speaker agreement. So I like that. Can you kind of just briefly talk about the speaker agreement?
Yeah, I actually think all people who interview on Summit should do speakers agreements. First of all, a lot of people don't read them. I never read them. I just sign, click, go, right? And a lot of people don't read them, but there are people who do read them. And at the end of the day, if you're using interviews later on and they've mailed their databases and it's not like on a public podcast, it's like you actually don't have permission to use these things. And so you could go to a local like contract attorney, you know, for a couple $100 and get them to create a speakers agreement. You just tell them like they all mail, they agree to mail during this time. If I want to use this in a product later, I want to sell it later or anything like that, that I have full rights to do that, things like that. So you just give some like criteria to an attorney and a contract attorney, and they will figure out the magic on making sure that you're all secure on that. But that's all I did. I was like, what if I want to use it in a product later and sell it, or add it to a product that I'm selling? And it's like, oh no, you can't do that unless you have a speakers agreement. Like little things like that. And it's like, God bless everybody, get wildly successful. Money is never a reason why you don't take action in your life ever. Like have an abundance overflow. I put that blessing on everybody listening to that right now and listening to this right now. And when that happens for you, or if it's currently about to explode in your life, then you want to have these things buttoned up, because there's like, it's kind of like, I'll look at a client that like, I just saw another one of our clients did 40,000 off the back of her summit. Brand new client, like single mom, you know, just brand new client, like all the odds. They just moved to Puerto Rico. Actually, I just found this out today. They just moved to Puerto Rico and they're living the life that they wanted. And she made 40,000 right off the back end of her summit. And so like that person can go from like a screaming fan, like writing happy reviews on my Facebook page, to like, I'm responsible because they made a real estate investment deal and now they're financially strapped and their lights are turned off. You know what I mean? Like, and so you just don't want to be in that crossfire. And so like get speakers agreements done, because you don't want to be in that crossfire, because you become successful enough. It's like, you should see, I mean, every month I'm meeting with asset attorneys and I don't even feel like I have that many assets, but it's like how to get insurances to cover this and cover that, because we live in a country that people sue about nothing.
Yep, that is so true. And it sounds like you're like with the speaker's agreement, it can be relatively simple, just enough to kind of cover the bases there. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I agree. That's such an important thing to think about, and especially if you're going to be selling it anywhere else afterwards. So please listen to that, Summit hosts. So kind of the last concept to start wrapping up the podcast with is I'd love to talk a little bit about monetization strategies. You've helped so many people build businesses off the back end of summits. What's that kind of transition point? Like what's maybe a couple of takeaways that the audience can have from going from the summit to now maybe trying to create a monetization strategy?
So that's where most of my focus has been. I actually don't care how big people's list builds are off the back of the summits, like 2,000, 3,000, 600, 700 people. I've seen people with 700 people list builds, convert super highly because we focus on the back end. So I'm a back end girl. So that's what we focus on. And so first and foremost, it's critical to do a survey. People miss this step all the time. So imagine this. I was already, multiple seven figures. I was doing endurance sports. And what I realized is through doing endurance sports, I became a really strong finisher, right? Endurance sports and leadership, I just became a really strong finisher. And so I noticed my patterns, like training for triathlons, believe it or not. And I had this 3-day pattern. I'd fall off my training plan every 3 days. And I started to wonder if that's happening in my business growth. So long story short, I figured if I can't control my money, I'm going to control being in the best shape of my life. And that's how I ended up in triathlons. And then I realized this 3-day pattern. I realized it's in my business, and I put the 2 and 2 together and I exploded, right? And so that's kind of the short version of I changed my habits through endurance sports. Well, a key function of a highly optimized person is actually making decisions fast. So when I hear an entrepreneur say, I get myself in trouble for making decisions too fast, I'm like, don't edit that piece. You actually just need to learn how to become a better finisher, because you're going to fail, and no matter what. So the problem is not in the fast decision. It's actually in the follow through and the completion. So I know all this about endurance sports. Now I'm in multiple 7 figures, and I realize I'm sending my clients, my private clients, into half marathons to help them get that edge, that next gear. And it dawned on me, why am I not doing this in our whole community? So I launched this endurance program. My pro athlete's teaching it. I can't sell it to save my life. Okay? Can't sell it. My entire list is built by summits. I'm making millions of dollars a year. I pride myself on I have a 5-step process in having a sales conversation. It works a lot. You know what I mean? It's how can I not sell this thing that I know that it works and they need it? And so, instead of buying the story that, entrepreneurs don't want to work out, or entrepreneurs don't want to get out there and run on the road, instead of buying all that story, I realized I hadn't surveyed. And so I went back and I did a survey around their habits, around, do they like to run? What are their activities? All of that type of stuff. And I understood the client in that part of their world. And I did it actually with my clients. I didn't survey my whole list on that one. I just did my clients, and I cross-sold the program to our clients. So I did 20-something calls and nobody closed. And then I did that survey, and we did $400,000 in a couple months. I went off to do 800,000 in an hour and a half. You know what I mean? And my point is that survey is key. So I think when people do summits, if you're wanting to monetize them quickly, it's all about that survey off the back end, and make sure that survey is, you're thinking about what are the questions that I need to ask around whatever it is that I want to sell. So hopefully you believe in whatever you want to sell so much that you would die for it. There's nobody that can tell me that endurance sports, I don't care if you don't like to run. If you don't like to run. If you are under optimizing your life, or you're not a good finisher and you're a good starter and a shitty finisher, or you know that you got another gear inside you, like Jesse Itzler says, and you can't find it, then I'm telling you, it's endurance sports. It just is. And you will start to like it. Trust me, because you'll get good at it, and you'll get this edge that you stop being the bottleneck in your life. And so now if I look at that, I have to think what are the questions I need to ask? Well, what are the benefits? Okay, so now I start going, what are the benefits? And I start creating a survey that's okay, so where's your biggest challenge in growing a business? Is it you procrastinate? Is it that you're a good starter and a poor finisher? Is it that you keep changing your mind? Is it that you haven't found a good coach? You see how those survey questions, if a bunch of them said that, like, I change my mind, or I don't finish what I start, or I procrastinate, if I take those 3 answers and get 70% of my list that say those 3 things, now I just take those 3 things and I put them in an email. And I say, here are the major benefits that it overcomes. I don't worry about hitting every question. I just take the majority and I literally write the sales page, the email, everything that goes to that messaging. And now I have an instant connection. It's like power on. Let's go.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
That's awesome. That is so key right there, because I call it the turn. When we go from summits to our next promotion, there's got to be something where the turn brings them in. I love this, doing the survey. I mean, honestly, and I'm sure you agree with this as well, the surveys are great for everything. It's all about putting the messaging back in their own words and whatnot. So this is amazing. I love this. Now, as we wrap this up, Shanda, I want to be respectful of your time as well. Let's go ahead. Is there anything kind of like a last kind of takeaway that you would want to give our summit hosts that they really should have in their minds as they set out on their summit journey?
I just think that everybody should do it. Like, I just think you should have it part of your business structure forever. Like, we don't own Instagram, we don't own Facebook, and I'm going to tell you, if you've got an audience on any of those platforms, I can get to them, and so can other people. And when you build an email list, I mean, no matter what way you want to say, like, even all of us who teach social media strategies, it's like people say like emails are dead or whatever. It's like, we're delivering all of our communication through email after we get you in our funnel. So our funnels are like deep in email. Some bots, but deep in email. And so my point is like, the reason why email is so inefficient for us is because we're freaking in it all day long, deleting everything in it until a subject line catches our attention and we open it. You want to get great at copy. I would say, after you learn summits, I would say really you should focus on copy, learning how to be a great copywriter. And if you have those 2 things in your arsenal, you're going to be good to go.
That is such amazing takeaway right there. Thank you so much for that. This has been an absolutely amazing, incredible, and insightful. I mean, look at all these notes I've already taken over here. So this has been awesome. I really, really appreciate you, Shanda. Now, I'm sure some of our summit hosts are listening going, I really want to reach out to Shanda. I'd like to talk to her. I've got ideas, or I want to hear more about, hardcore business. Where can they find you, and what's the best way to learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so right now, people can still get me on my Instagram, which is Shanda Sumpter, like a panda, but Shanda Sumpter. I am still currently answering our inbox on Instagram because I'm playing with that platform. However, I do entrepreneurial hacks every morning on our Heartcore Business page. So on Facebook. So facebook.com/Heartcore Business at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. So they're like 15, 20 minutes. It's a great way to start your day. It's not a platform that I'm doing a bunch of offers on. It really is to help entrepreneurs like optimize their mind for the rest of the day. So it's pretty hot.
Excellent. So make sure you head over there and check out that information. Follow Shanda on Instagram. And we have all the links and resources and everything Shanda talked about over at the show notes at podcast.virtualsummits.com. So if you missed something, want to get access to it, you can find it there. And I'll just say again, Shanda, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be here. This has been absolutely amazing.
Super good. Super good being here.
Awesome. So thank you as well, Summit hosts, for tuning in with me and Shanda, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.